Skylla is bigger than you, and she has the strength of both desperation and a superior genome, so you don't feel great about your chances. But you have to try. Skylla is too upset to be careful. You have to stop her from hurting herself. You stumble into her house, all gross and pathetic and alien, and she didn't turn you away. She gave you pancakes, for Christ's sake. Grub cakes. Whatever. And it isn't just the sun. From the number of voices, there's got to be 20 people out there. She doesn't stand a chance. You run up behind her and hook your arms under hers, hauling her back by the armpits. She struggles, jabbing her elbow into your aching ribs.
Let me go! You don't understand! They'll take her! Lady!
You hold grimly on, going limp and using gravity and your own dead weight to pull her down to the floor. Through wheezing breaths, you tell her she can't go out there. Didn't she just tell you that you'd never have survived if it had been later than dawn? You probably aren't making much sense, but you keep up a stream of worthless bullshit until something catches. Would your Lucis really want this for you, Skylla? Would Lady really want you to sacrifice yourself for her? Skylla goes rigid, and then all the fight just drains out of her like blood down a drain. She sags back into your arms. The two of you watch Lady thrashing in a huge black net as several of the figures haul her away. The sun is too bright to see them clearly, but they appear to be herding more white creatures out of a paddock into a collection of vehicles.
The herd.
She says it so quietly you feel it more than hear it. You continue to watch as Lady is packed into one of the vehicles and they drive away, kicking up clouds of dust that glimmer in the brutal sun.
You can let me go now. I'm not gonna throw myself out into the daylight like a romance novel heroine.
You realize just how tight you're holding onto her and loosen your arms, pulling away and sitting up. Skylla's cheeks are wet with tears, but she quickly shakes her hair into her face to hide it. That makes your heart hurt. You want to tell her that everything is going to be okay, but you make it a point not to lie to your friends. You have absolutely no idea how it's going to be. And before you can say anything at all, she gets up and disappears through a door and further into the house. You decide to mind your own business. Well, you do try the door, but it's locked. Best to keep occupied and do what you can for her. First, you shut the door to keep that sweltering heat and blinding light out. Then, you tidy up the kitchen a little. Everything here is oddly textured and colored, the shape's unusually organic. Some of it is worryingly scuddly and alive. You do your best. You mop up the syrup and straighten the chairs. You're just trying to figure out how to get the sink to spit out some water onto the dirty dishes when Skylla comes back out. Her eyes are dry and her hair is combed back out of her face.
Don't you worry about that. You're gonna break something.
She plays with one of her beaded bracelets with nervous little fidgets of her fingers.
I could never take those fellas by myself. Especially not in broad daylight. I want to thank you for stepping in and stopping me. I was overwrought.
You nod, accepting her thanks. She doesn't seem overwrought anymore, just numb. Wow, this is actually a legitimately terrible situation. Not even in a dumb, zany way like all the other horse shit that has happened to you recently. You wonder who those guys even were.
Lucis thieves. They've come before, but always at night and never in such large numbers. So Lady and me could always take them. I never expected anything like this. For them to come out in force like this in the middle of the day?
She sits down at the table, putting her elbow in a patch of syrup you missed. You offer her the dishcloth and notice several little discolored patches on her arm. It looks like she got burned just from having her arm out the door for like a minute and a half. You're really glad you didn't let her go out there. You've endured a lot of heinous shit on your short span on this planet. Injuries and lots of added insults to those injuries. But the time you spend with Skylla waiting for the sun to go down is some of the worst and most hopeless. You don't know what to say to help her. You aren't actually her friend. You aren't even the same species. The troll-Lucis relationship is a little confusing, but they seem to be some combination of caretaker and pet, more symbiotic than parent and child. Finally, it gets late enough to venture outside, and you follow Skylla out to the empty paddock. There's nothing out here but a broken fence and trampled ground.
Lots of kids lose their loose eye. It's just a part of life. I would have been heading into the ordeals next week anyway. I would never have seen her again. But at least I would have gotten a chance to say goodbye, you know?
It's kind of a bummer how resigned everyone on this planet seems to terrible things happening. Then again, you guess that's sort of true on your planet too. Existence, just a goddamn mess. You try to give her the most understanding look you can. Just a really good and supportive friend face. Ugh, you're killing it. But Skylla isn't paying attention to your glowing facade. She's reaching into her jacket and pulling out her phone.
What the hell? My palm husk is blowing up. Oh god.
Skylla drops her phone in the dirt and claps a hand over her mouth. Her eyes sparkle with tears. You pick it up. It's kind of squishy and squirms in your hand a little, which you don't love. You also don't love what's on the screen. It's a troll in a mask, holding a gun on Lady, who is still in that net, baring her teeth. The gun looks fake, kind of like a Nerf gun. You bet it's not a Nerf gun. The photo is accompanied by more of that spiky text you can't read. Hey, how can you understand the Alternian spoken language but not the written? You decide not to think about it too hard. Waste of time.
They sent a ransom demand. They say that if I can't pay, they'll sell her. Troll Luci are valued for their strength all over the galaxy. The heiress knows about the black market, but she doesn't do anything about it. She just takes a cut.
You ask her how much the ransom demand is for, as if you have a penny to your name. She tells you a number that sounds stupidly large, even without knowing the exchange rate to Earth money.
They're just mocking me. They know a bronze blood can't afford this. They just want to force me to fail her one more time.
Her voice breaks on a sob. You reach over and put your hand on her arm. She looks at you with big, watery eyes, and you brace for her to fall into your arms sobbing. You're actually kind of hoping for it. Not that you're the type to want to profit off of another's pain, but you're pretty sure that offering comfort in a time of crisis is a first-class ticket to Friendsville. Instead, Skylla gives you a hard shove backward. You take 2 stumbling steps and fall on your ass. Something squishes underneath you. A cow pat? Or something alive? You aren't sure which you'd prefer, honestly.
Sorry. I didn't actually push it that hard. Her species just seems pretty flimsy. I don't want sympathy right now, especially not from you.
She stands framed between the 2 moons, some trick of perspective making her look just as distant. And just as sad. Not that moons are inherently sad. Whatever, that's not the issue right now. Had Skylla been lying to you before when she said she doesn't blame you? She'd even thanked you for stopping her from killing herself.
No, I don't blame you. I just can't stand the sight of you. Looking at you just reminds me of losing Lady, and I don't think that'll ever change. Sorry. I really was hoping we could be friends. It's been a really long time since I've seen anybody out here that goes on 2 legs instead of 4. But I just don't think it's gonna work out. If you start walking now, you can probably make it to the city before sunrise. Or there's a Jade Blood colony nearby if you want to inflict your personal brand of assistance on them. Bye.
You leave with your proverbial tail between your legs, and the last glimpse you get of Skylla, she's standing next to the empty paddock, staring at the ground.